Prepare yourself for List Off, the gaming podcast where your hosts, Brian and Ryan, rank the things they love. 3, 2, 1, List Off!
This week, we put the final nail in the coffin and laid to rest Spooky-Tober with our 10 scariest levels in video games. How you doing, Brian?
Pretty good, Ryan. Thank you so much for asking. How are you?
Good. Yeah. It's been a good week. Did you play any games this week?
So I want to say I did spooky levels. Is there a difference between scariest and spookiest?
No, we could do spooky. We could change it in the vein of Spooky-Tober. We could change it to spooky.
Because some of mine aren't like deathly scary per se.
No, same.
I think it'll be fine then.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yes, I did play some games. One that I'll start with is Into the Pit.
Yes, I was in the pit. You were in the pit. We all were in the pit.
Which got released on Xbox Game Pass. I played it on PC. This is basically Hades, but like Hexen Hades. So first person.
Right up your alley.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like the combination of words makes sense as like something that I would enjoy. So the game has it's got that aesthetic from like the old PC first person shooters like Doom and Hexen. It really reminds me of that, where there's like a lot of 2D textures that kind of turn with you. Even when you're just like walking and if you stop, like the textures are still kind of like moving around, adjusting to where it's kind of jarring. When it's flowing and you're just like playing the game, it's very fast. And it looks fine that way, but it's definitely got that aesthetic going for it. But it is very much, I mean, everything that Hades does, except for like talking to gods and stuff. It's very much just like go into a room, destroy the enemies, and then collect things in there and then move on. And then in between each room, it gives you a power up and it increases something. It has a different rarity to it. You can like increase the like rate of fire for one of your hands, because it's all like magic combat and you're just doing like different lightning bolts and stuff out of your hands. So it's cool in that respect. It's basically taking that exact formula and applying it to a first person game with that aesthetic. I haven't played too much more than like the original hour that I played.
Right.
But it's interesting. I think it's worth like looking at and seeing if it's something that is interesting to you.
I'm sure that design decision works for people out there as far as playing on nostalgia. Personally, I'd probably feel the same way you do about it. It would probably be a little jarring and out of place in today's gaming environment.
Right.
Yeah.
So it looks good in motion, and it's whatever FPS my computer spits out for it. It looks good.
Probably like 500.
Right. But yeah, I just don't. What Hades had was that like story through line that was really pulling you through. This was very unpolished with like not many like sound effects going on. All of the times that you do talk to people, it's just you go up and ring a bell and there's like a shut door and then a little pop-up comes up and it's some like static face and some text. So it doesn't read it to you. There's no voice acting. So it feels like an early access game. Like maybe they're going to add stuff to it, but I think it's a done and polished game for them.
That's disappointing.
So, yeah. But the game that I did play and dedicate hours and hours to is the Riftbreaker.
Oh, yeah.
So this is another game that is on Game Pass that I had no idea existed. It was not on my radar. But I looked at the image of it. It's like a mech and this lady. And I was like, what is this? It's a new game on Game Pass. Let me see exactly like what's going on. And I watched the little trailer and it just showed this game is basically top-down RTS view. So like a StarCraft. And you're doing your base building and you're making like armories and command center hub kind of things, and you're having to connect them with power. And you're just like on this alien world collecting resources. You can run around and get biomass and fuel different generators. And then there's combat with all the creatures that are inhabiting this land. And it's just like basically the Zerg are on this whatever world. And you're just going around killing them to like expand your territory. And then periodically, so the game AI, like your mech is its own character, you're your own character, and you're kind of discussing things. And every once in a while, they'll say like, hey, we have spotted a group of whatever the monsters are called. I don't even know.
We'll just call them Zerg.
Yeah. The Zerg are accumulating on the south border, or, something like that. And the game will like give you like, okay, they're going to be here in like a minute. And then it gives you time to set up your defenses, and you can have like towers and all sorts of stuff, walls you can build, and then enemies will attack you. So it's a full-fledged tower defense game at the same time. And the game makes you contend with all sorts of different like environments. Like there'll be like ion storms, which are a good thing because it like electrifies all of it powers everything up. So you have your solar panels and your wind turbines that like just go crazy. Periodically it'll say like, oh, like there's no wind today, so you're not going to get any power from your turbines, so make sure you have all your solar or like biomass. Right. So it's a lot of management. It in the top corner, it gives you like what's your power output, like if you're at 100% capacity, how much do you need to be doing? And it just like everything fluctuates. You have to keep it all in check.
Balancing, yeah.
You're doing research. Yeah. You're building up your base. It's all the points that I love. It's satisfactory, like producing stuff. Man, I love this game. I had no idea. Like, I think you had told me offline, like there's power in knowing your preferences. And
for sure.
This like all of the preferences are getting checked off in this one. And cool. It's a game that I had no idea about.
Right.
Like that
came
that's
out of
the
nowhere.
beauty of it.
Yeah, that's the best
it was like
kind.
Out, and I'm just like spending so much time with it. So
excellent.
The Riftbreaker.
The Riftbreaker. Very cool. 2 good Game Pass games. So if you have Game Pass, there's some good recommendations there.
Yeah. And there's more games coming. I mean, the Forgotten City, I am very eager to play.
Right.
So
that I am interested in as well. That started as a Skyrim mod.
Right.
And
that's nuts.
It became its own game. And from what I've read, it really came into its own when it became its own game. And it's very interesting. And I really can't wait to get my hands on it as well.
Yeah, I heard a lot of buzz around it a couple months ago, and it sounds like Microsoft probably tried to capture that and offered a good deal for that, because I think it's a small development team being just like a upgraded Skyrim mod, basically.
Yeah.
So, crazy.
Very cool.
Yeah. But what about you? Did you jump into any games?
Yeah, I did. So I played more Back 4 Blood. I really, really like this game. I was able to I made it all the way to Act 2, which takes a little bit of time. I think I said, the game really opens up when you make it to Act 2, but I was mistaken. That's when you get through the first part of Act 1. There are sections to each act and then bigger acts, and Act 1 is by far the longest. And I made it through the entire act, and I'm now on Act 2, and I was able to find some groups online. Sometimes playing with people online is just annoying.
Sure. Absolutely.
You get some people that you may just are very vocal in a negative sense. I'm sure I'm not telling anybody anything new out there, but it just it's
a turn off.
It's a shame. Yeah, it's a shame, because like, mute your mic. Nobody wants to hear that crap,
Yeah.
Anyway,
people think they're being cool, and it's not. Yeah. Maybe if you're like, I don't know, 15 or so, but
it's even worse when you could tell it's someone who is not 15, like is a grown human being and acting like worse than a 15-year-old would.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, I digress. The game is great. Still really enjoying that. I made it through a game that is, in fact, the scariest game I have ever played. And if we were to do our top 10 spookiest games again, this would be moved all the way up to my number 1. And that game is Alien Isolation, another Game Pass recommendation. I have never played a game that freaked me out more than this did. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
So what's the scariest thing that is going on? Is it just the
we might
having to hide?
We might talk about that later.
Okay,
No.
fair enough.
It's so there's a number of things. The lighting, it is an older game. It's really, you can only tell its age in the cutscenes of all things, because the frame rate severely dips. It looks pretty bad during the cutscenes. However, during the gameplay, the lighting is excellent. The sound design is so unsettling with headphones on, and it's one of those things where you're in a space station that's falling apart. So there are clangs and bangs and sounds that you would attribute to it being the xenomorph, but it is not. It's just the space station falling apart. So it plays on fear a lot, and it's not cheap jump scares. It's tension, which I can really appreciate. It would have been easy for this game to get into cheap jump scares, but it is just slow building tension. Even from the get-go, it builds that fear extremely well. It's not all in your face right off the bat.
Right.
And
it's that difference,
goes a long way.
That like horror versus terror.
Right. And it's both.
So,
this is purely both. But man, what an excellent experience. It is on Game Pass. Terrifying. If you want to be really freaked out, play it by yourself, which I did.
I don't know if I could do it.
I love scary games. This is different because, I love scary games in the sense of Resident Evils and Silent Hills. And this game has a great story that you do want to see through. It's just different because Resident Evil and Silent Hills have that cheesiness, that like quirkiness to them. This doesn't have.
So you have guns and feel powerful.
Well, you have guns in this. You get weapons.
Oh, you do?
In this. You do.
Oh, okay.
You do get weapons in this, and you're not combating only the xenomorphs in this.
I see.
There are human enemies as well, and there are also those working Joes that I talked about last episode.
That sounded terrifying.
Yeah. And the weapons can fend off the xenomorphs. You just cannot ever kill them.
Right.
They'll run away, but they won't go very far. The AI is extremely good. I didn't find this out till later in the game, but apparently if you have a knack for hiding in lockers, when you see a xenomorph, the AI actually learns that and starts looking for lockers. Yeah, so you have to change up how you hide from these things, and it's hair raising.
Can't do
every time.
Stale moves.
Right.
Got to change it up.
Exactly. But the big game that I played this week, the one I really want to talk about, is Resident Evil 4 VR.
Oh yes, I forgot you
VR?
did this.
Remember VR is a thing, Brian?
Yeah. And you have to have a Quest 2 to play
Quest
this.
2, it's
because I was like, maybe I'll try it, and then nope.
Oh my gosh, I told you about it, thinking you could get it too, and
no, I have no access to it.
Yeah. So it's the first Quest 2 exclusive, and it's so cool. From what I can tell, I have only played a few hours. It is the entire game. And there is really something special about it. The environments are a little flat because it is the HD remaster basically put into a 3D space. So it
still looks good while you're in it, right?
Definitely.
Okay.
I think they redid everything like character models and trees in 3D, but using those HD character models. And the Ganados, when they get close to you, you could see like their splotchy flesh. It's different when you're seeing it. And they're as tall as you, and they're coming at you, and it's a different level of fear. It's really enjoyable so far. I took some footage of the typewriters. You actually type on the typewriters to save your games. You do active reloads, so it's not just a button press. You have to grab the clip from your belt and put it in the gun, or the shells from your belt and put them in the shotgun. Everything is attached to your body. They do have a wheel option where you could just quick wheel to your weapons. But
and how is movement done?
It's so you could do, if you had the room to do it, you could do physical movement. You could walk through the environment, but you would need a gymnasium or an open field for something.
Well, with the Quest 2, you have all that.
You have the
whole world.
You could go and do that, absolutely, but I have not. So you turn in 3D. You could physically turn. You could turn with the right stick. But you could also just physically turn. The way I've been playing is physically turning in my environment and then using the left stick to walk to move
That
around.
seems good.
Yeah, they also do have teleportation options if you're prone to motion sickness, which I am very prone to motion sickness. I've talked about that multiple times on the podcast. I've had to return games because I couldn't play them because they didn't have a teleport option. This game, for some reason, I can do the motion, like not without teleportation. I'm not sure why. It has this vignette effect that happens when you're moving. And I do find that I could take limited movements fast because Leon moves pretty quickly when you do the full bore with the joystick. But if you do it about halfway, like it doesn't bother me at all, which is great. It's phenomenal. I'm really happy because it was the one thing I was afraid of buying the game rather, that this would be an issue. But yeah, so weapons are really cool. There are, even healing is on your body. You kind of wear a tactical vest. So if you reach over your left chest, you'll pull your knife out. If you reach over your right shoulder, you pull out your either shotgun or rifle, whatever you have equipped at that time. On your right hip is your handgun. Left hip is always your ammo. Left shoulder is always your healing item. And it's very easy. Your right chest, I think, is your grenade. Mm-hmm. So it feels so cool when you're taking on a horde of these things and you're just gripping all over you feel like you're doing it, like you're actually Leon. It's great. Running into the merchant was surreal because he's
I saw your little video
right in front of you. Yeah, it's very cool. I'll put some of that on the YouTube video this week.
Is there a mercenaries mode?
I don't know. I haven't made it through the game. I'm guessing there probably isn't, but there might be. Yeah. I don't know if that opens up after you finish the story. I'm not sure.
Right.
They still do the quick time events. They do this weird thing whenever you do actions, like, how you can run up and kick people.
Yes.
It kind of does a cutscene where you're just watching it happen, which is good, I think, for motion.
You don't want to do his spinning around roundhouse kick in first person.
Same with jumping out windows and doing no roll. It's not
that would be bad. God.
And all the cutscenes are like that. So you kind of are pulled out and you're watching this big movie screen in front of you where the cutscene plays out and it gets you back into it. And I appreciate that. I think that's fine. Probably a lot less work for the developers, but this is a special game. It may be the first game where it's a seller for the Quest 2.
Yeah.
And they picked a good one to make exclusive for them. I cannot wait to see the story through. Resident Evil 4 was a phenomenal game. It meant so much to so many people, and to be able to physically be in that world is just surreal, completely surreal. All the strats that you had for each little area, they still work, but you're performing them, and it's incredible. It really
bet it was crazy getting into that first little village area and walking around physically.
Yeah, and I ran into the potato sack head chainsaw guy. I don't know his name, but
did you get your head cut off?
I did. The first time I did, because there's a shotgun, but you have to physically cock the shotgun. Mm-hmm. And I thought I had, and I hadn't. So he's coming running up, and all of this is. And I'm like, oh no. And there it was. Yeah.
That would kind of be cool in first person if they kept that part.
It was, so it pulls back to the cutscene, but you see the chainsaw coming at you. And then it pulls back to the cutscene of it happening. The way it does the "you are dead" is very cool. The whole screen goes blood red. Like everything, all you see is this blood red around you. And it kind of sucks itself into the center and evens out and just says "you are dead," but it's all full 3D and popping out at you. It's very visually cool. The whole game, man, I really can't stress it enough. If you have the means to get your hands on this game, it is 100% a must buy for any Quest 2 owner. Yeah.
Would you say it's scarier than?
Absolutely.
I mean, Resident Evil 4 wasn't too scary.
Correct.
So
the environments are very cool. It's very environmentally creepy because you're in it.
Right.
I did have one time where I jumped to high heaven. So there were two guys in the shack and I killed them both, and I'm going through the shack collecting items, and there's a guy hiding right around a door, And the sound design in the game is very cool. So when you hear someone close to you, they sound like they're whispering in your ear.
Jeez.
You know, and all of a sudden I go through this door and it's Coelho, and I turn and there's just a face right there and he's going to hit me. And I'm like,
trusted the imbecile.
Yeah, they say everything. They say it all. Yeah, man. Matalo. Yeah, they say it all.
Right.
And, yeah, so it made me jump because, you know, I thought I killed the two guys in the building. Then all of a sudden it's a guy like whispering in my ear. And I'm like, ah. Yeah.
That's terrifying, just because you're blending your real life stuff at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, did I hear my kid get up? No. Okay.
right.
That'd be bad.
That was actually during my kid's nap and my wife was out. So like I did have to keep, I wasn't playing with headphones on during that time. So it's like, is Everett awake? Yeah.
He just like grabs your leg and you're like, oh my God, it's a zombie.
Right. Oh gosh. That's like a
So
rule
real.
in my house though. That's because you came over here. Is if somebody's in VR, you don't touch them. Like you don't play games in VR.
Right.
Yeah. I don't want to be the guy who has a cracked TV because someone took a header through it. Yeah. Yeah. But it was a lot of fun. Yeah. Good week. So I think that about covers our games we played. Without further ado, let's get into these lists.
Okie dokie.
All right, Brian. So once again, we are doing the top 10 spookiest levels, not to be confused with the top 10 scariest levels.
Right. And these are levels. I think that's the big difference from last year's list.
Yes, correct. I also think now that we live in an age where levels are not a thing, choosing a section of a game counts, right?
That's it.
All right. I figured you'd be on board with that.
Right.
So I'll start with my honorable mention. It is Starved for Help. It is a chapter from Telltale's The Walking Dead. Yeah, it's kind of out there. You find a friendly family at St. John's Dairy Farm in Macon, Georgia. And you play, most of the game is Lee, and you're with a companion who is part of your crew, like your gnarly crew of survivors named Mark. And you're welcomed onto this farm by the family. You take it upon yourselves to get in good with them and go, around the farm repairing things like the fences and blah, blah, blah. As you're doing this, you encounter some hostiles, and your friend Mark takes an arrow to the shoulder. So he's taken into the house so his wounds can be tended to by the matriarch of the family. And, you kill some time talking to some people, making some decisions about what you're going to say, because that's what this entire game is. And eventually you are invited into the home for dinner, you and everybody else. Before the meal, Lee excuses himself, says he has to go wash his hands. But they're being kind of coy about where Mark is during all this. Mm-hmm. You immediately go in there and say, I'm concerned about Mark. And they're like, oh, don't you worry. Let the boy rest. Like, come on, let's go eat some food. So Lee excuses himself. He's a little suspicious. And instead of going to the bathroom to wash his hands, he takes a peek around the residence. He makes his way upstairs. And behind a bookshelf, there's a room, which seems a little odd, doesn't it? So he goes into this room, and what does he find? He finds Mark with tourniquets above his two severed legs as Mark whispers, "Don't eat dinner."
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So if you can put two and two together, you probably realize what you're about to eat is Mark's legs. This family is not quite as friendly as they seem. And it gets worse. So that's pretty spooky to begin with.
Yeah.
But
I always thought this was like a little more cartoony Walking Dead game.
No.
Okay.
It is cell shaded, so I can see how that would be the impression, but no. It gets worse. You're then on a timer to make your way back downstairs, because Lee realizes that Clementine is about, the girl he's taken into his care is about to eat this dinner, this human flesh. So you have a limited amount of time to make your way back downstairs, and then you're given a dialogue choice on a timer. And if you don't make the decision to yell out, "Clem, don't eat it," in time, she will in fact take a bite of Mark's legs. Yeah. So you do hopefully get downstairs in time and make that decision and tell her to stop. But you then have to convey the information to the entire table. They take Clementine hostage and knock you out, and it goes on from there. But the real fear was this little bit of building uneasiness, and then that verification that it was called for the entire time.
Right.
Yeah, people are eating people in a time when zombies are eating people.
Right.
It's very bad. But you wake up and you're in I think a meat locker, a freezer with the rest of your crew. You do manage to escape and evade the family. And
meat lockers are pretty scary environments.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot.
Definitely. But just coming across St. John's Farm and realizing the true horror that it operates on is pretty bad. Pretty bad.
Yeah. Man, I never played this game in any real capacity. So to hear that it does stuff like that is kind of disturbing.
Gets worse. The game, it takes itself seriously with the subject matter. Yeah.
That's crazy. Very good.
Thanks.
All right. Well, my honorable mention, I did a very broad The House from Resident Evil 7, because that is a very creepy, spooky environment.
Yeah.
I know we've talked a lot about microwaved ravens and such. But yeah,
it's a delicacy in some cases.
Yeah, that's that whole environment. Really, I think this game does spooky really well. I think Code Veronica was another one that really frightened me in a couple of different places. Yeah, some of those environments are crazy. But yeah, Resident Evil 7, The House, and really that initial area when you're kind of investigating and not knowing anything that's going on, or that there are even people in the house. You're just seeing just like filth and just like food. And we've talked about that before, but it is very unsettling in VR as well.
Oh gosh.
To actually, dip your head into a pot of rotting bug soup.
No way.
Yeah. No good.
No, I agree. It's a very, very spooky part of the game. That whole intro. I think it's the strongest point of this game is that, that beginning in the Baker residence.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have not expanded past that, so can't really speak to any other environments that you may or may not get into.
Yeah. Well, it's a good pick. I think you did get the best environment.
Yes,
that's the one that matters. Yeah.
Right.
So my number 10 is from a game that people probably wouldn't consider spooky in and of itself, but to me it was a terrifying part of the game. And that's Jedi Fallen Order, when Vader chases you.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So you're in the Fortress Inquisitorius, which is the actual name of this place, believe it or not. Not very frightening, kind of comical. But you fight a hard-fought battle with the second sister and come out victorious.
And this is all like underwater. Like
you get there from swimming underwater. The whole, correct. The fortress,
it's like submerged.
Yes, the part of the fortress that you're in is submerged. Yeah. So you fight the second sister and you come out victorious in the Fortress Inquisitorius. But then the real terror begins, because you know it's bad when the person who is evil and has appeared to be villainous and terrible to you the entire game, when they hear the breathing and fear washes over their face,
right? You
have a pretty good idea you're in trouble.
Yes.
He just slashes her and comes after you, and it is immediately apparent that this is a force to be reckoned with, and all you can do is run. And it's like being pursued by a Terminator, by the thing from your nightmares that is unrelenting, Michael Myers, whatever you want to equate it to. It is the unrelenting force that will stop at nothing to kill you.
Right.
And has mystical powers to boot.
Yeah.
There's that part where you're scrambling to get away. He's bending the platform around you and you have to use all your skills to get to the elevator. You get to the elevator and he is like at the door as the door is shut. He sticks his lightsaber in to start melting it, and boom, the elevator takes off, and you have like this moment where you catch your breath and think you got away. And you didn't. He pops up once again, and thank goodness for BD1, your little homeboy,
right?
Because if it weren't for him, you'd be in some real trouble. But yeah, man, this whole section is just, it's hair raising, and it's just that tension that turned up to 11. It's
even knowing that he was going to make an appearance, I was still like heart in my throat running through that section and not wanting to get caught.
Yeah. It's rough. So should be, I guess it's too late to say spoiler alert for the games we're talking about, but it should be implied.
Oh yeah.
It should be implied. Yeah.
Spoiler alert for all these. I don't think, I mean, on my list, it's Metroid Dread is not on my list for any spooky stuff, which is like the most recent game I can think of to need a spoiler tag. So
yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I think, I think we're in the clear.
You're safe.
Here.
Yeah. All right. Good pick. I like it.
Thanks.
Yeah. I really liked that level. That everything about that was a good, sometimes in games, even if you like a game, it can all fall apart at the end. Absolutely. But this really had a good, use all your skills. Crescendoed. It's going to be difficult. There's cool stuff that happens, kind of twist endings. Yeah, that one really had
all the visions building too and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it was good.
Had a good conclusion for sure.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, my number 10, getting into the proper list here, is the flood level from Halo.
I knew this was going to be somewhere on your list. Yeah, man.
Yeah. So the build up for this is really part of what really sells this level, because you're taking a team of Marines into a basically derelict area of the Halo, and you just get bits and pieces of the story because there was some like alpha team or whatever that went into this installation.
Sounds
first.
like Resident Evil,
right? Yeah. Bravo team, let's go. You're leading the second team to go in, and you get parts of the story through like audio logs, basically, of the team that was just destroyed by something, and you have no idea what had happened in here. So you make your way through the installation, and there's no enemies or anything, and then there's just a part where you get in there and the flood just descends upon you. And this is a just different faction of alien that no one had encountered until this place. And I'm pretty sure like was released from this installation. Like, I can't remember the exact like intricacies of the story at this point, but the flood is unleashed, and they are terrifying. They're just like a bug-like race of creatures. I mean, they're like little squids are the main creep that comes at you, but there's like hundreds, if not thousands of them that are just descending on you at once. And then there are, of course, the bigger enemies that are just amorphous masses of like pink and gray skin, and just like lots of tentacles and stuff coming at you. They're a pretty interesting race for, I don't know, it seems very by the book sci-fi kind of creature. Right. But yeah, they really make it work, especially with the way they move and just waves of these little creeps coming at you.
Yeah.
So, and the music I remember being pretty spooky at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, all of those elements combining into a pretty terrifying encounter with a race that you've seen the Covenant and know all the different enemies there and what's going on. This is just a whole other race of creatures that no one knows about.
Yeah. No, I think a lot of people would agree with you on this one. This is a unexpected spookiness too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very annoying race to deal with for sure.
Yeah.
But
no, it's a good pick for sure. This is a classic spooky video game moment.
Right.
Yeah, belongs on the list. Definitely. Not on my list, but it belongs on somebody's.
Yes.
I think I knew it was going to be on yours.
Right.
Yeah. And it should be. It should be. Absolutely. So moving on to my number 9, it is the finale in Until Dawn. This game is, it's spooky-ish, right? It's more drama-based in a lot of ways. It does have its scares throughout, but it is full of jump scares and uncomfortable moments, this finale specifically. So that's fine by itself if there's uncomfortable moments and jump scares, but the issue with the finale is that you can't move while these jump scares and craziness is happening all around you. If you do, the character that the camera's on will immediately die, and it is just a sequence of don't move, because it's reading the gyroscope in the controller as this is happening, and it's a very small margin you have to keep it in,
and you don't have time to like put the controller down to circumvent that.
Plus there's I think there's vibrations happening too. There's rumble. So you can't put the controller down. You fail. I think the game does that very intentionally. You just have to, hold it still. And if you're not expecting this, it is it's minutes long. It's a 5-minute sequence where these, what are they? Wendigos jump around from person to person, and they are creepy creations. And the moonlight going through, it's very cool, very interesting scene. And it's just jumping from, I want to say party member to party member, but from character to character. And every time it's so close, and they're based on movement. And the second I got everybody out of there but one person, because I thought he had to run, and I made the choice to run, and he's the one who didn't make it out.
Yeah.
But everybody else made it out. But man, it was some of the tensest moments in any game that I've played, because they're around the corner, like breathing on you, and they jump so quickly to the next character. And it's that kind of jolting movement that makes you want to move, but you don't, you can't. Yeah. It's very cool. Very well done. It was a great experience. They have a new game out, the people who did this, House of Ashes. It's part of that series. So they did the Man of Medan. A few other ones. There was another one too. I can't remember the name of it.
Is it Ready at Dawn? Is the
Ready at Dawn? Maybe. I don't know.
I can't remember.
Gosh, I'm terrible. But they just released a new game, House of Ashes, that is getting pretty good reviews, actually. I'd be willing to give it a shot.
Dark Pictures trilogy, is that right?
Dark Pictures anthology.
Okay.
So, but
cool.
They definitely did a good job on this one. I'll tell you that much. I did enjoy Until Dawn, even for all its cheesiness.
I love those Peter Stormare scenes, the therapist.
What the hell have you done to them? Huh? What the hell have you done to them? Psychopath.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, he's good. I love the acting too.
Right. I always, his default for me is Big Lebowski. One of the nihilists at throughout the movie.
I like him in Fargo.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't say much.
My gosh.
Doesn't say much at all.
Jeez. All right. Well, with that, my number 9 is from The Last of Us Part 2.
Nice.
This is the scariest thing for me, was the stalkers. The first time you encounter the stalkers, which I looked up, the Seraphites level. So the stalkers are a breed of infected that don't make hardly any noise. And you encounter them in this, I can't remember the exact type of building. But there's like a little offices. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So just imagine a pitch black office building. There's like very little light, and you're just walking around, and you think you saw something moving up ahead, and you walk over there, and there's nothing over here. There's just like a dark corner, and nothing's in that area, and you start to hear just like just like little sounds. Like, am I hearing something breathing? Like, I can't really make it out what's going on. Okay, I know something just passed through that door. Every single time I would run around, and then just there's nothing there. And I think at one point the game like has you chasing. Okay, I definitely saw that. I go around the corner, and then you see like something scurrying up into the ceiling. So like you definitely see it. You're on alert, and then they start actually attacking you. And the mechanic of this character is that they really don't make any noise, and you have to pay very close attention, because they are going to come from every single angle and kind of relentlessly.
Well, they always come from the worst angle,
right?
Because they intentionally will attack your blind spots.
Yeah, they're flanking you every single time.
Yeah.
So you have to. I would say if you have headphones on, it's probably going to be a little easier because you can get that directional where it actually is coming from. But these were quite the enemy to encounter. And I think I played it late at night the first time, and I did not want to encounter them anymore. I think they come up more as the game goes on, but they're like in the context of a larger battle where there's other enemies, so it's less of a scare and more of a like, okay, well, I just didn't know that guy was there because I'm fighting these other people.
Yeah, more of a frustration at times. Right. And the importance of what Brian is saying when they make very little noises, even if you use your psychic abilities to hear through walls, it doesn't work on these characters.
That's right.
Yeah,
right.
So you don't know where they are.
I found I never used that ability.
Really?
Like ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
I used it. I definitely
in the first game, I didn't use it. In the second game,
oh my
nothing.
Gosh. Wow. Pro gamer. Let's go. Yeah. Good job. Seriously, I used it all the time. And that made this part of the game more horrifying for me.
True. Yeah.
Because I could hear them and I'd go into my failsafe, which is that listening mode.
Right. Like a detective mode.
And there's nothing there. And it's like, wait, but I definitely heard something.
Yeah.
Very creepy.
That was a cool part.
Yeah, definitely. Good pick, man. So my number 8 is something that Brian had already mentioned. It is the Baker residence from RE7.
All right.
Yeah, just dingy and dirty, like you said. And you have the worst part of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre relentlessly stalking you.
Right.
Gosh, Pa Baker, man. He is a creepy. It's that Texas Chainsaw Massacre role, the enjoyment that he takes in like tearing you to shreds and hurting you. That was the thing I think that creeped me out the most about this and the movie as well, is that when people are laughing about your misfortune and intentionally hurting you, that is some scary, scary stuff.
Right.
Because you're helpless in that situation. It really drove it home in this game. And
it really is Texas Chainsaw. I'm just now putting that together with the family 100%. And everything.
Yeah. But that's not all. You also went there looking for your lover, who now is possessed and wants to kill you and kind of chops your hand off. So not exactly what you were expecting from someone you're supposed to be in love with, but there you have it. No, the atmosphere really in that whole house is just so unsettling, and you never know which wall he's going to come busting through or where you're going to run into him and have to run, because you're left with very limited options at that point. Like I said, it was the best part of the game, scariest part of the game for sure. Good pick by you. And
turns out I don't like being stalked in video games that much.
No, me neither. And it was a toss-up. There was a lot from the Resident Evil series that I could have included. Mr. X was up there. But it had to be
like the police station. That wasn't a very scary place. It was cool to look around that place, but I never found it all that scary to be in there.
Environmentally, it's not equal to this. I agree. I really wanted to put something from RE4 VR, but I haven't. Resident Evil 4 is not what you would call a scary game.
I think I was going to ask, did you get to the part with Luis yet? Yes. Boarding up the house? Was that cool?
So no, I haven't got to that part, but I have found Luis, and I haven't been. I'm like a little bit before. I'm trying to think the last thing I did in the game. I don't know. Killed some villagers.
Okay.
I made it past that village. I did make it past that village. I made it to the farm. I made it to when you're in the house after running into the tall guy, the tall bald guy with the beard, who ends up being a boss fight eventually. So I've run into him a few times at this point. And the part where he chokes you and then throws you down. And he's like, "Oh, you got our blood."
Right.
Yeah. So I made it to that part. And that's pretty much about where I am.
You have got to post the video of you listening to Hunnigan.
Finally, the line's jack free.
Hey, Hunnigan, no glasses.
Forget the glasses.
I will. I will. I think that's cool. Gosh, here I am talking about RE4 VR again. But so when you get those comms calls, you actually have the communicator in your hand and you push a button to it flips open.
Right.
And you see Hunnigan and you can move it around.
You can lovingly caress the screen where Hunnigan is.
Sometimes a man's got to do what he's got to do, And I have no shame in that. I have no shame in that. Yeah.
Perfect.
All. Yeah.
We all love Hunnigan, that's for sure.
Who doesn't? You're you're a monster if you don't love Hunnigan.
That's right.
I'm sorry.
All right. Well, my number 8 in that case is from Shadows of the Empire for the great N64.
Wow.
And it is the sewers of the Imperial City.
Okay.
Do you remember this level?
Vaguely?
You might have blocked it out because it is a horrendous level. It's very spooky. The environment is not fun to be. It's a sewer level through and through. I do remember
this.
Yeah. So, this is the N64 time. So it was very drab and dreary, gray environment. Not a lot of what is it called when you can see far?
Draw distance.
Yeah. Just like a Superman fog everywhere. And there's just like water that turns out you can go in and jetpack around in. You have to find it. It's like basically a maze. It's a horrible environment to just ever be in. And then there are like, there's stormtroopers and whatnot, but there are also like tentacle monsters. Dianogas, yes.
Yeah, man. I remember that. That's why I was like, oh, I remember this.
Right. So at the end, you have to fight the giant Dianoga, and it's just like a dozen different eye tentacles that are trying to kill you, and just that big maw in the center. Ugh. And it's terrifying.
Yes.
But yeah, just a horrible environment to find yourself in. You can't even really see where you're going. I just remember hating that level, and it's towards the end of the game too, and you have to kind of get through it. But yeah, not fun.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said I blocked it out. Thanks for bringing that back.
I'm sorry.
So happy I get to go to sleep thinking about that tonight.
I had to look up that creature because I didn't know what it was called, but
I knew.
Yeah, is that in the movies or anything?
Come on now.
Is that the thing in the sewers?
Yeah,
okay, I didn't know it had a name.
Compactor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You never really see it in the same.
Have you been to
context?
You've been to the Star Wars land, right? In Disney.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to the water fountain, that's there right before you get to like that bazaar.
Okay.
Every so often, I think it's not on a timer; it's just random. If you push the button to dispense water from the fountain,
sure.
However many times, there's a tank above it that looks like murky water. A little Dianoga eye tentacle will pop up and look around and go back down. Yeah, it's great, man. Attention to detail. Detail. Yeah, it's wonderful.
That's crazy.
Good pick though.
Yeah, thank you.
So my number 7 is Brookhaven Hospital from the Silent Hill games.
Okay.
But which Silent Hill game? Come on, if you know me, it's
one
Silent
or two.
Hill. It's Silent Hill 2.
Okay.
It's got to be. Why Silent Hill 2? Well, because Pyramid Head attacks you almost immediately. But the lighting and sound design was really, really cool in this. You hear, at one point, you hear heavy breathing in the room you're in, but there's nothing in the room.
Oh, geez.
And yeah, that's always a little off-putting. There's also pig noises, like squealing.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
That pop in and you're in a hospital. Like, where are pig noises? Like, why is there squealing happening right now? Yeah, very, very uncomfortable. The lighting, though, you're James, I think is the character's name. You're going through with your flashlight, and man, this is a PlayStation 2 game, and the lighting in it is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
When you run into those nurses, it's terrifying. There's a point where you're with a child, and she traps you in a room. She like tricks you and you end up trapped in a room with these 3 flesh lips, is what the community refers to them as, because they come out and it's like these beds that people are in, like these rectangular things that are people. You think it's weird. It's like it's like a blanket, but there's a hole in the blanket, and coming out of it are just these like flesh and lips. Yeah, it's like, and there's a whole cutscene for the intro, and there are 3 of them in this room that you have to defeat before you could leave.
That was my name in high school, actually.
Flesh Lips.
Yeah.
Isn't that a band?
Probably.
Should be. Yeah, they're just these insanely creepily designed creatures. And the whole hospital environment just really,
that's
very
creepy.
Unsettling. Yeah.
Hospitals are creepy.
Right. In general. There's also like lore involved where it's apparent the hospital was not treating its patients in the best way, not in a malicious way. It wasn't like any like no experiments going on here. It's just Silent Hill, so like everything's gone to crap. But it's more that they were just more concerned with profits than people.
I see. Is it a regular hospital or a psychiatric hospital? Do they make that clear?
They don't always. They make it clear that both occur there. Okay, but never clear that it's just one of them.
I see.
So yeah, they really double down on how creepy it could be.
Right.
but yeah, man, if you've played it, you know it. And Flesh Lips and Pyramid Head. Like, what more do I have to say?
That's it.
Yeah. And I'm not talking about Brian when I say Flesh Lips.
Lovingly referred to as Flesh Lips. Very good.
Thanks.
Yeah. Whenever you talk about Silent Hill, it's one of those blank spots that I have in gaming, and it always sounds interesting.
If they come out with a remaster, that would be great. Like a collection. Yeah. I don't even know if they maybe did, but I don't think they did.
Maybe some like HD collection.
Right. Yeah. Like back on the 360 or something. Right. Yeah.
I'll just watch the movie. So my number 7.
Oh, God. You're breaking my heart.
My number 7 is The Deep Nest from Hollow Knight.
Oh.
So this is you have played a little bit or not at all?
I played a little bit.
Okay.
But not beyond a little bit.
Yeah. So Hollow Knight in general is very spooky. The whole aesthetic is a lot of grays and blacks, and everything's bugs. Like I don't know if you're a bug, but all the things that you're encountering on bugs, the people you talk to, the enemies that you fight, it's very unsettling. And this particular level, which is just like a part of the map, the Deep Nest, it is as the name suggests, it is a very dark, like you have the cone around you that you can see, right, and nothing else. It's just black around the edges. Ooh. So already not fun to be in. And it's just every manner of like spider creature and things like popping out of eggs and scurrying around, and just the enemies are really difficult. I think they double down on everything, basically because you can't see anything at all.
Yeah.
So it's not a fun environment to be in, and I think you get like a light source that kind of illuminates it better. But it's definitely an area that you want to get through as quickly as possible. So these are the parts of this game that make me remember it and be like, did I actually like playing this game? Because there are parts where it's just like, I just wanted to get through that. But I feel like it's kind of that Dark Souls mentality, right, where like the poison swamps that you're talking about, you don't want to be there, but once you accomplish it, right, you get that know what you have to do.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, and I remember being like, I wouldn't want to be stuck here and not know where to go. So I think I managed to get through it, quickly enough. But yeah, just imagine not being able to see anything, but also there are dozens of enemies around you at any one time and dealing with that.
No, thank you.
Nope.
Before I move into my number 6, I do want to say that recently we've had an influx of new listeners, and I want to give a sincere thank you to anybody who uses their time to listen to us. And we really do appreciate each and every one of you. And if you'd like to give us a follow on Instagram or Twitter, we're at Listoff Podcast on Instagram and Listoff_podcast on Twitter. You can always email us too at listoffpodcast@gmail.com. But yeah, I just wanted to stop and give a big appreciation to everybody out there. I did mention it, I think at last episode, we don't do it enough. So I do want to try to do it a little more, because we wouldn't be doing it without you guys. It's not to beat that drum, but it's true. You make it special.
That's it.
So thank you.
And we have YouTube videos now too.
Oh yeah, we do have YouTube. Listoff Podcast. I think all one word, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm going to find out exactly, but I believe so.
Yeah, there's some other Listoff out there, but you could ignore those guys. They're not the real us.
That's right.
I don't even think their names are Brian and Ryan.
No. I mean, how can you have a Listoff without those names?
I don't know. I wouldn't know how, Brian. I wouldn't know how to have a Listoff without you. All right. So enough of that sappiness. Moving into my number 6, it is Little Nightmares 2. And just to stay with the vibe of hospitals, I'm going to say the hospital from Little Nightmares 2. There's a portion of this where this has very good puzzles, where you're working as in tandem with a partner, an AI controlled partner, to solve puzzles. And you do, and there really isn't any major threat at first. You just seem to be going through doors, finding ways to enter them, going through them, and all of a sudden you come to a room where it's pitch black except for your flashlight. And it does that hazy lighting, so you can still kind of see shadows in the environment. Those shadows are patients just standing there.
Yeah.
And as you start to walk by them, they start to pursue you. But if you turn and get your flashlight on them, they stop pursuing you. And they don't pursue you like normal movement. It's all that jerky, freaky movement, and it's so fast and rabid. Like all they want to do is get their hands on you and tear you to shreds. So as you're going through these environments, you have to run past these things and try to aim your flashlight in time, but there are dozens of them in a room sometime, and not all of them come after you. So it's even worse because some of them don't move. So you don't know which ones are going to move on you and which ones aren't. So you don't know which ones you can actually use to your advantage for getting away from the other ones. And then they come at you from different angles. So you have to time your flashlight, whip around real quick. And when you whip it this way, like the guy's going to come from behind you.
Right.
And it is just so deeply unsettling. And yeah, eventually you do make your way through it, but the whole time you're just on the edge of your seat and cannot really handle what's happening. It's one of those areas, like you said with Hollow Knight, where I think of it and I love it. I love that somebody put something like that in a game.
Right.
But did I really enjoy playing it? Was it just like really stressful for me?
Right. I think it is just getting through that stress.
Yeah. It is. I want to give a special shout out to the DLC from the first Little Nightmares. While I'm on this subject, there was a part where you're in a flooded area and there's a thing in the water that keeps, you have to move quickly. You have to jump from platform to platform quickly, because if you stay in one place, it'll reach its like gangly little arm out and grab you. And all you ever see of it is its arm and like its head barely coming out above the water.
Gosh.
Until you eventually make it to the end, come up with a way to kill it, and you realize it's like this grotesque old like granny creature. Yeah, living in this flooded area. It's really, really creepy as well. Wow. But for me, the hospital was much more unsettling as a whole, and it's a longer sequence as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's great. Oh, yeah, everything about that game was unsettling from what I played. So when you describe those instances, it's even worse.
Yeah, I know. I know. I was like, Brian, you need to play this. Brian, you need to play this. And it's not you hate the art style. So maybe you shouldn't have.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. One day. Yeah. I think there is going to be a day when I play through that.
It's not groundbreaking. I think it's good for what it is, though.
Yeah,
definitely.
It is more interesting to me than things like Limbo.
I think it's
got a lot more going on.
Yeah. I have not played Inside. I would like to play Inside.
Yeah,
to give it a shot. But I have not. But I would say it's definitely 100%. Both of these games are better than Limbo, in my opinion.
Cool. All right. Well, you mentioned this one a couple weeks ago, but it is The Bottom of the Well in Ocarina of Time. Nice.
Yeah.
I watched like a YouTube of it just to refamiliarize myself, because it's God, this is N64 doing, I think the N64, just by virtue of the graphics that it was capable of, there's just a level of unsettling and spookiness that comes along with that. And the developers did a good job with what they had. But they relied a lot on the sound design, I think, because in Zelda, the torches that flame noise, it's like a
crackle.
Yeah, there's crackle to it. That is like the only sound you hear in the well when you're by a torch. And there's just the music, which definitely very unsettling stuff. But yeah, those creatures that are down there, there's a bunch of the re-dead, but the mummy versions of them. everything about that. And this is where you get the lens of truth. So you have that that noise that accompanies every time you turn it on, and things just basically pop into view when you activate it. You can kind of see as you're changing your camera angle where things are invisible to the naked eye, but through the lens of truth, you can actually see
have to use it to traverse through it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So everything about this was horrifying, and it comes out of nowhere. It's not really like a dungeon per se, but it's just something you have to traverse.
So dead hand at the end too,
right?
And doing research for that list, I did come across, and I forgot to mention this fact. So you know how I said dead hand is all pale and he has these blood red splotches on him? Someone had pointed out that it's even creepier when you consider the fact that he bleeds green.
Oh,
so it's not his blood,
right?
That's on him. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, pretty creepy stuff, man.
Yeah,
good pick. Wow,
thank you.
Very good pick. I am glad you put it on there. I did not want to because I had just put Dead Hand on my list, so I did leave it off my list. But it's a list worthy for sure.
Yeah, that atmosphere is something else.
Yeah.
Another 100%. One where I just wanted to get through it and did not want to spend any longer than I had to in it.
Yeah. Agree. So my number 5 is The Hallway from PT.
Very good.
Yeah, I think as far as spooky levels go, people would have this much, much higher. But hey, to each their own. This is my list, so back off, guy. But it's truly unsettling. I did not get the chance to play this myself. I have watched videos of PT countless times, though. And this belongs on any list about the spookiest levels. It's just everything about it. The story,
the photorealism is, I think, the biggest thing for me.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Especially when, the stuff we talked about, the bathroom and the sink.
Yeah.
The photorealism in that is like truly unsettling.
Yeah.
And the story on the radio is truly unsettling. The disorientation of it all. Then what's the woman's name who's behind you? Is it Lisa or something?
Yes, it is. It is.
And when she attacks at the end, it's everything about it is just so get under your skin, scary. It's just that seeping in throughout, that slow build. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse.
Even just the phone ringing is enough to like jump you out of your skin.
Yeah.
And it's such a trope that they use in movies all the time. But when you're playing it in first person and you just see a phone down the hall, like they want me to go over there and pick up the phone, but I don't know what's going to happen after I do.
And then you go through and nothing will happen sometimes. And it's like, did I do this right? Am I doing this right? Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. What more do I need to say about it?
I mean, that is a level, if you just want to you don't really have a method to play it anymore, but that is a crazy thing to play, to just scare you and be an enclosed experience.
I bet.
Too bad I don't have it either anymore.
Rip PT.
Yep. PT. Rip my PS4 with the PT.
Hey, so you think we'll get like a new Silent Hill in the vein of PT? Big announcements coming up on the 27th. We'll see. It's all third-party announcements. It's all third-party announcents. So I just want to make it seem as though I have a premonition in case it comes up during the PlayStation State of Play.
Yeah. And then next week also, I think, is the Facebook Connect as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So maybe another Oculus.
A new exclusive. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see.
A new exclusive.
I mean, throw that Oculus Quest 2 in the trash because new one's coming up.
Yeah. As soon as I beat Resident Evil 4, I'm on to the Oculus 3 Pro.
That's it. Yeah. All right. Well, my number 5, this one might be on yours, maybe not, but is from Batman Arkham Asylum, and it is the Scarecrow levels.
Oh, no, it's not on mine.
Okay. Yeah. So these are parts of the game where I forget how you get into it, but basically you have been exposed to Scarecrow's toxin that then puts you in these weird dreamlike areas where it's it's a basically 2D version of the game, but you're rotating around a circle because Scarecrow is in a giant form in the center of this circle, and you're just rotating around him, trying to get through this. But it's kind of a level in the best sense of the word, because it harkens back to like a Mario almost.
It's like a treasure tracker or something. Captain Toad treasure tracker level.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you're just having to hide from his gaze. He'll just like periodically turn around, and he has these like cones of vision that if you get caught, it's a spotlight. And if you get caught, then there's trouble. But yeah, and you eventually come out of these sequences and realize, okay, yeah, I was just hallucinating this whole thing, but it felt really real, and it was very unsettling the entire time you're there. So those sequences were pretty intense.
For sure.
You never want to see Batman like down and out like that.
No.
So.
Did you ever notice, like, I don't know if there's any single intellectual property that I've heard use the word toxin as much as Batman uses the word toxin, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that was the first word that came to my mind, because it's like, I don't know. Yeah, there are other words that other franchises use in place of that, but it's the toxin.
Always in Batman, it's the toxin. It's Joker's got his toxin, Scarecrow's got his toxin. Oh, I've fallen to the toxin. It's all over the place. I don't know.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Right.
You don't really think about that.
No, you don't.
I was searching for a word, and toxin came to mind.
It's the right word.
Right.
Especially when talking about Batman.
I
kind of thought you'd put Man-Bat from Arkham City.
I can't. Was that just like flying around? You wouldn't encounter him?
It's like an unexpected encounter. I think more of a jump scare as you're like flying around the city. He'll like attack you all of a sudden.
Not so much a level in my eyes.
Oh, that's true. No, that's true. Yeah, good pick. Yeah, good reasoning there.
Yeah.
So my number 3, we're on 3 already.
4, right?
No, aren't we on 3? Did you just do 4?
I just did 5.
Oh, okay. We're on number 4.
Okay.
Yeah. So guys, we do this every week, and somehow Ryan has no clue how to do it. We are doing number 4, and my number 4 is from Metal Gear Solid 2. I think the level itself, it's like around the time you are dealing with arsenal gear, but it's this point in the game where I think you're coming off of the torture scene, and it's just Kojima bonkersness. It's so you get these calls over your comms from the Colonel, and this character has been your rock throughout the game as Raiden. He is the person who is constantly telling you what you need to do and helping just with little moral support, anything he can via the comms. And it really is like the thing that keeps you in touch with, like, you have support when the Colonel calls you.
I see.
And this part is especially unsettling because he has been that rock throughout the game. And he starts speaking gibberish to you. He starts making words up. He starts saying things that don't make sense. The picture of him is the back of his head. He's like turned away from you as he's talking to you. And he's just saying like word soup at points, but at other points he's saying like things that are derogatory to progress in the game. And you don't know what's going on. It's like you just went through the torture. Is your character going insane? Did the Colonel go insane? Did that torture change your character forever? Like, what is happening?
It's a toxin.
It's a toxin. But it's just one of those things that Kojima does so well, right? It's now so part of the zeitgeist as far as what Psycho Mantis did in the first Metal Gear. But the first time you come across that and he tells you what games you've been playing, it is a shocking moment. And this is another one of those moments where the first time you come across it, you're just kind of like, what is going on right now?
So what did go on? What happened?
I think it's just a virus, like somebody's tapping in and infecting the system.
Okay.
It's funny. I should have done more research, but I don't really remember that part. I just remember how like deeply unsettling it was that like,
I see.
It makes you question everything. Was this him the whole time? Like, was somebody else pulling the strings? Like, what exactly? It's just this whole, what has been going on?
Right.
What's going on right now? And does it change everything that you've done up to that point?
Whenever things get recontextualized, that's a crazy part in games.
And it's one of the things that, Hideo Kojima just does extremely well, is he has these moments that make you question everything.
Right.
And he's really good at it. He does it without fail, time and time again, which is even more impressive when one person can do it over and over again. But yeah, this very unsettling part of the game.
Yeah.
It's stuck with me. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. Well, my number 4 is Lavender Town from Pokemon.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the whole? It's
yes.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
With the suicides.
Wait, what?
Okay. Buckle up.
Is this like a theory?
It's a creepypasta.
Oh,
but
cool.
but it seems like it kind of happened.
Okay.
So there is a place in Pokemon. This is the original Pokemon games.
Yeah, no, I know.
Called Lavender Town.
Right. I know
and yeah. So the version that you played was probably different from what this actual version is, because it's from the Japanese carts, basically.
Oh, wow.
But apparently the music from Lavender Town, it's very unsettling, and maybe we can like link a little bit of it kind of around this part.
I just might be. Already.
Exactly. But there are apparently frequencies in it that only seem to affect the 7 to 12-year-olds age range of children.
Oh.
And it's unlistenable to other age groups, apparently. But there was a peak in suicides and illness around the time this game came out in Japan. And there was like, I think it was like 200 kids or something that were either exhibiting weird, like they were jumping from heights that they knew were going to be problematic, or they were.
You want me to be playing this music right now? Is that a good idea?
So, I mean, there's only a certain version of it that can apparently have these frequencies in it, and it's not available in any version of the game anymore. And that's so. Let me back up. So the rumor was that this is what was going on. I'm reading from part of just like an article about it. So the children who committed suicide usually did so by hanging or jumping from heights.
Oh my gosh.
Those who did not act irrationally complained of severe headaches after listening to this theme. Although the Lavender Town now sounds different depending on the game, the mass hysteria was around when it was first released in Japan. So they have fixed it, and that kind of like makes me think like, okay, there was actually something wrong with it that the developers have since
changed it. Yeah.
If they changed it, it like kind of admits that, okay, maybe there's something wrong. And then it didn't happen anymore. Once they fixed it, this weird peak didn't happen anymore. I don't know if it's real, but it's still like an interesting story. And if we play it in
cool, like
I know. If we play it, it's super unsettling. Like no matter who listens to it, it's a weird theme, and it makes it. Now that I know this, it makes me think like, oh my god, like this is a weird thing in your brain that's like, all right, well now I'm just thinking about suicide right now, and like I don't. It's very strange. And then to take it one step further, and this seems like a bridge too far for me. Again, from this article, one video appeared in 2010 using special software to analyze the audio of Lavender Town's music. When played, the software created images of the unknown. So the Pokemon Unknown.
Right.
It created images of the unknown near the end of the audio. This raised controversy since the unknown didn't appear until Generation 2.
Yeah.
But the unknown, which are like letter Pokemon,
I remember.
The images that they created spelled leave now. So it's very, very weird. So I guess subliminal messaging to leave now.
Yeah. Weird. Crazy.
Spooky.
Yeah. Very spooky. Very unsettling. How do I follow that up?
why don't you just take your number 3? The
All right,
rest
guys.
of mine,
As
mine
always, have a
aren't like
great
that.
week. No, I'm kidding. Wow, that's really deeply unsettling.
You should read and like I'm sure there's a YouTube video that even more sensationalizes it, but
deeply unsettling. Specialized software, you say though? How vague, right?
I know.
Anyway,
what software makes audio into images of like it doesn't make any sense.
It's specialized, Brian.
Okay.
Yeah, like if you know, you know.
I gotcha.
I don't know. All right, moving on.
I don't follow that conspiracy theory.
Now we're on our top 3, though. I know
Yes.
that much. Haha, look at me. So my number 3 is from the game Returnal. And it is the final biome in Returnal. So I guess skip ahead 5 minutes, 3 minutes if you don't want to hear this. It is from the Abyssal Scar. Yeah. No, this is not a spoiler at all. It's just more about the environment. So
sure.
If you consider that a spoiler, by all means, skip ahead a few minutes.
I won't remember it when I actually.
So this is just thalassophobia incarnate, basically. Yes, it's horrifying. You have to jump into this literal pit of water, and you fall hundreds of feet before you reach the biome. As you get down there, you're in a room, almost like a underwater cavern, and there's a door. So you collect your things and you go through the door. Once you go through this door, this biome is nothing but basically a series of ruins that are catwalks, and there's nothing but aggressive enemies, dark, murky water surrounding you.
Are we underwater or?
Yeah. Oh, you're underwater.
You're underwater the whole time.
You're in deep now.
Okay.
Yeah, you're in deep. You're in the abyss.
Are you swimming?
No, that's the thing. You cannot swim.
Okay.
So you're in these ruins with there's water all around you. Most the platforms you have to operate on are falling apart.
I see.
Or are very limited in space. You have to be very careful about where you're jumping to because there is nothing around you except for the abyss. And if you have any fear of deep water, and I do, it is just so anxiety inducing the entire time. The sound design is really, really unsettling. Even when you have a little mini map where your enemies show up in red and you could dispatch them and see where they're coming from. So that really helps you in this biome specifically because you at least know where your threats are.
Mm-hmm.
But even when you clear a room, the sounds don't go away. You hear things in the deep and you hear, and it's 3D audio. So it is just so jarring with headphones on. And the enemies that you do encounter, some of them are pretty easy to dispatch, but some of them are the toughest in the game, this being the last biome. And you have to find an item before you can continue. And it is just not a space you want to be in. Yeah, it's all your worst fears of anything coming from the deep and getting you wrapped into a level. So
are they big things coming to get you too?
There are definitively big things in the level, yes. And once you make it through the first part of the level, you then have to dive deeper to get to the second half of the level. It is like another hundreds of feet down to reach the second part of the biome. And it is just, you're falling into nothingness to get there both times. And it's deep water. And I hate water I cannot see the bottom of. Yeah. So you picture the worst things surrounding you. And at times the things that you imagine are worse than the things that are actually there.
That's it.
And that's what makes this so terrifying.
Do you have to do that every time to get into this biome, or can you warp there at a certain point?
So there's a faster route there, but it is this route.
Oh my gosh.
Like no matter how you get there, you have to dive into the abyss.
Jeez.
That is the only way. You could get there from two places, two other biomes. But from both of those, there's only one way down.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's horrifying.
It is.
I can't wait to play this game.
I cannot wait for you to play it. I looked the other day, I think it was on sale, and I looked if I could buy you a digital copy.
Oh, geez.
Because you only want digital, right?
Only digital.
And you cannot gift someone a digital copy.
Really?
Yeah, I would have to give you my login information.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
That's dumb.
It's really bad.
That'll probably be something that they develop, later.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully they really should.
Yeah.
They really should.
I know you can do that on like Steam and things like that. So
yeah. It seems like something that should be possible.
Yeah. Take our money.
Yeah. Right.
All right. Well, pivoting from that, I would say, Lavender Town and then the Abyss. Those are all bad things.
Yeah.
How about Luigi's Mansion? How about we do that?
Yeah, let's do a little lighter note in here. That's great, man. Yeah.
All right. So Luigi's Mansion 3, the Egyptian Sphinx area. That's my creepy area. Did you play through that?
I did not play through the game. I don't know if I made it to this area.
It's a little later. I think it's like the 10th floor or something. So it's a little further in.
Wow.
But yeah, the whole thing is just like, it's very dark. Everything's just lit by torches. It makes it seem like you're in like a tomb, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But the cool things about it is there is just sand everywhere. And since it's sand and you have a vacuum,
yeah,
we sucked up all the sand in this whole place. It's just like a Walmart's worth full of sand,
and you got it all.
We got it all just to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, the creepy part, the spookiness of it, is the boss is Serpsi, the ancient Egyptian ghost, and she's basically Medusa. And she is like this ghost and then goes into this like bigger form that is all these like snakes that like gaze at you. So it was a pretty spooky thing for Luigi's Mansion. And every single time you're going onto a new floor, Luigi is very terrified and is just like shaking, holding the vacuum, and
of course he is.
Mario, 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 Mario,
Mario. Yeah, I love it. That's so cool.
But yeah, that's my pick for number 3, Luigi's Mansion, the Egyptian level.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate that you're giving the listeners a little reprieve from some of the darker tones we were headed towards.
Right.
They will not get such reprieve from me.
Okay.
Because my number 2 is the hotel basement from The Last of Us.
Oh,
the first Last of Us. So I almost put the Rat King from The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
I think he's made enough appearances on our list.
Sure.
And that is a very creepy part. I love the homages it pays to survival horror games that have come before it. However, the hotel basement from The Last of Us is just terrifying. It's a spore-ridden area. You have your flashlight, and the lighting was really, really good in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Another one where, you're down there and you understand the threat. There are clickers down there. There are infected down there. And you hear a periodic banging on a door, like a steel door, as you're down there. And it's coming from somewhere. You don't really know where. It's just this boom, 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 boom. It's like, yeah, crazy. There's something there. I
mean, this happens in Resident Evil 4. I remember just like there's something banging on a door.
Which ends up being Luis.
Right.
And he's like, hey, what's up? How you doing, buddy? And it's like, oh, that's not scary at all. Nope. This, however, ends up being scary because I died here. I remember this being a game where I didn't die often, but this was definitely one of those parts that got me because you don't really know where to go. And you have to start a generator to have a key card pad active.
Right.
So once you start that generator, everything down there hears you. And as you go back to the key card pad, you just hear that door that you heard the thumping on explode open. And if you hang around to fight what comes after you, it is dozens of enemies, probably not that many, maybe a dozen, but it's enough. And a
dozen is a lot of enemies for The Last of Us.
Yeah, it's clickers, it's infected, and worst of all, it's a bloater, which are always trouble to deal with. So it took me a few tries to realize that I'm not going to make it through this by killing them all. I just have to run for this door. And then it's even creepier because you hear the boom and you know all these things are running behind you in the dark.
Right.
And you got to not only make it to that key card reader, but also use it in time and get through that door. And oh man,
is this where
edge of your seat stuff?
There were like sections that were kind of like underwater.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
There are those
I remember that.
as well. Yeah.
That was kind of a maze too.
Yeah. And that
like
was
there were
thing.
multiple routes to go.
Right. And it took me a few times to realize, like, where do I go?
Right.
And you have to make it there without running into something that is going to slow you down enough for everything else to kill you.
Right.
So it's very, very horrifying part of the game. Very stressful. Very.
I remember it. I remember it. Whenever I can remember things from like almost 10 years ago, it's bad.
Yeah. And the lighting on, it's more impressive in that Rat King fight in The Last of Us 2.
Sure.
You have the flashlight on it, but it's still super impressive in this.
Yeah.
You see all the features that you wish you didn't.
Right. All right. I got to give another reprieve then. And for my number 2, we're going to go with Boo's Mansion in Super Mario 64.
Oh, okay.
So
good one.
Yeah, very spooky area. The music is what does it for me here. I just remember being pretty haunting. And this is kind of a maze too. It was a different type of level because it was that all enclosed mansion. We would get weird camera angles. I remember sometimes it was almost like a fixed camera that would like follow you in different rooms as you would go through it. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Yeah. Which was jarring because every other level you're playing just kind of behind the back Mario. But yeah, there were weird rooms that were just like jagged edges. It wasn't very symmetrical how things were laid out. And just all those kind of features were weird for a usually like fun Mario game. So, yeah. Boo's Mansion.
Boo's Mansion. Spooky.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm very happy that you're making light of this list.
Can you remember it's the carousel music, I think. That was really what did it for me in that
that's cool
level. So
that's good. It's that N64 music coming back again. Yeah, good. The MIDI, right? Isn't that what it was?
Yeah.
So that's our number 2. Without further ado, let's get into our number 1s and wrap it up.
Okay.
All right. Without further ado, let's do our number 1s. My number 1 is from a game I played through this week. You may have guessed. It's from Alien Isolation.
Yeah.
And there are a multitude of parts I could have chosen from this game. But the one I have to go with is when you realize just how much trouble you're in. And that is when you're redirecting power to the central core. I had to look
That is the most video game thing.
Right?
You can,
oh God, this is full. It's full of those moments. It is full of those moments where it's like, purge the power protector. It's like, oh, cool. I'll do that. Like mission, go. Like go to spooky areas and do things. That's this game in a nutshell. But it doesn't detract from the game at all.
Right.
So I don't even know if that's the name of this mission. I think I had to look it up. I don't know if it's the one I'm going to talk about. Anyway, this is the moment where you become aware of the trouble you're in. The game makes you feel as though there is one xenomorph chasing you through these halls.
That's what I thought.
Up to this point. Yeah,
you keep saying aliens.
If that was,
and it's called Alien Isolation.
It is called Alien Isolation. And if those movie titles have told us anything, it wasn't until the sequel, Aliens, plural, that there was more than one.
Right.
Clever titling. They really went off the rails from there. They did, man. Anyway, like Prometheus, that's not what?
People like that movie. I've never seen it.
I liked Prometheus. It was fine. What was the one after it, though?
I've only seen Alien.
The first one? Well, that's
the first one.
You haven't seen Aliens?
No.
Oh, my God.
No.
You have homework, Ryan. The second one is really good for all different reasons than the first one, but it is extremely good. Man, definitely. You should see it. You should see it. So yeah, anyway, like I said, it makes you feel as though there's one xenomorph wreaking havoc throughout the station and stalking you as you go through the hallways. But upon descending into the reactor, you find eggs. You find a lot of eggs. And a face hugger almost immediately jumps out at you. So you do have to kill that or game over. But yeah, it's also, once you go down in there, you haven't seen aliens. I don't know if this was in the first one. The walls have been repurposed by the xenomorphs, like into the hive. Like, was this only in the second movie? You probably didn't see this in the first movie.
It's also been a long time since I saw the first one.
So they do this thing where they create almost their own environment where
it's like walls, a creep, basically.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And it's that hive material is full of human bodies that have been incapacitated and are now used as birthing vessels for the xenomorphs. So that's how they do it. They stick people in these things, and they let the face huggers hatch, and the face huggers put the little egg in the baby.
Chest burst out.
And, a little baby bursts out of the chest. There you go. So that's, once you see this, it's that point where you're like, oh wait, there's a lot of them. Like, forget about one. There's way more than one of these things on this space station.
What point in the game are we at? Like halfway?
It's about midpoint. Yeah, okay, it's about midpoint, and that's what this game does, is a good job of building. It's always like these reveals always occur when they should. Mm-hmm. The pacing in this game is a little slow, but I appreciate that in a good horror game. You're not, you're alone by yourself, and you have missions to accomplish down here. And having seen the films at a younger age than I probably should have, xenomorphs are the things that were hiding in the shadows of my bedroom when I was falling asleep.
Oh, geez.
So me playing this first person game and being in this environment and having to go through it, it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in a video game. And sure. I don't say that lightly. At the conclusion of this mission, you're then going back up to where the reactor is, and you have the working Joes there to tend with, but you have to go into this room that has a glass window where you're actually like doing the thing with the thing, the whole action that you're supposed to be doing. And you do redirect power to the central core, which then alerts the xenomorphs, and they all start crawling on this window in front of you, and you see like a few of them go by, and it's enough to just really shake you to your core. Because you then realize you're going to have a much harder time with the rest of the game than you originally thought.
Right.
And it lives up to that. Yeah.
That is scary.
It is very scary. And there are a lot, like I said, multiple parts from this game I could have included, but this one for me was like, it was my childhood nightmare coming to life. Yeah.
I was thinking maybe it's just because it's fresh in your mind, but the fact that it came from your childhood as well, it's all born out of that anxiety from years past trauma.
Yeah. It's bad news.
Yeah,
but you guys should play it if you haven't.
Yeah. I saw Alien when I was an adult, so I didn't get the scariness of it. But yeah, I think seeing it as a kid, that would definitely be a little scarier.
Yeah.
Aliens, for whatever reason, aren't the scariest thing to me. Like, I don't know.
No, I get it. I think if I hadn't had the experience I had, maybe they wouldn't be.
Sure.
But I did. And like I said, I am not kidding you when I say when I fell asleep in my bed as a child, I vividly remember they kind of do this like slithering thing on themselves, and I like would see that in the my little imagination would project that in all the shadows that I couldn't see in my room, and it was just
what movie messed me up was Mars Attacks.
Oh, really?
That was a movie that, seems like just, those things were terrifying to me. And I was pretty young when I watched that, but that is like a comedy.
It is.
But it was not good for me to watch.
It's a dark comedy.
Yes, it for sure is.
Tim Burton.
Yeah. Ugh. Not for me.
Your favorite.
I know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up with one last one. And I really backloaded my I guess silly choices, but this was the number one for me that came into my mind, and it is Mad Monster Mansion from Banjo-Kazooie. Banjo-Kazooie had to be on my list.
I'm glad we're ending on a good note here.
Okay, yeah. Ravenholm was one that,
yeah.
I mean, that's like at the top of everyone's list. I don't really remember that one too much from Half-Life 2 or 1. I forget which one.
2. I think
2.
it's from 2. Yeah.
Okay. It didn't bother me as much as it seems to have bothered a lot of people. But Madame Monster Mansion, that's a spooky place. There's all sorts of like gravestones that are walking towards you.
Yeah.
That's where we meet Lago, the toilet, and he's great. He's just talking about poop and stuff. That's where we get the big organ that you can like ground pound on the different keys, and
right.
the ethereal hands are playing it.
This list is just sitting here like, am I a joke to you?
This place is spooky, man.
It's totally spooky.
It's I mean, the music is what does it for me in these things.
Yeah.
And it's typical Banjo-Kazooie music, but with a spooky riff on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like oh man, there's something that the like undead people say. Oh yeah, when you poop eggs in their like little planters, they
right.
say thank you, and it's just like weird British voices coming out of the grave. I don't know. There's little things like that.
It's a good pick, man. There are times when, I tend to think of us as being the same age. We're not very far off in age, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are times when it's apparent we have a difference in age. And I'm not saying because of a maturity thing, but I am saying that because you chose Banjo-Kazooie as a spooky game, this is one of those times.
Yeah.
This is one of those times. There was another time, because I just recently did a tweet about post your favorite game that came out when you were 12.
Yes.
And for me, it was Zombies Ate My Neighbors.
Right.
And for you, it was Perfect Dark. That was another time when I was a parent. It was apparent there was an age gap.
There's an age gap.
Yeah. Maybe it's just because of how far forward video games moved in that time period.
Right. Oh, so that would do it for sure.
Yeah.
Jumping from a Zombies Ate My Neighbors to a Perfect Dark.
Right.
I could see that being weird. Yeah.
But it is a good pick. All that being said, it is a good pick.
I played Zombies Ate My Neighbors, when it came out, and my brother and I really liked that game because it was multiplayer, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. It was co-op.
You could go through the whole thing together.
Mm-hmm.
I have vivid memories of that one, but I was not 12 when it came out, so
that felt like a shot. That felt like shots fired right there. But I was not 12 when it came out. Ooh. Stings a little bit, man.
Yeah,
it's all right. I earned these grades, brother. So great list, man. This was good. I feel like this was our spookiest list, actually, to wrap up Spooky-Tober.
Yes.
I'm very proud of it. Even with the 3 final entries on Brian's list, that's a shot fired, buddy. Just kidding. So next week we are going to do our October news episode. It's going to be a little more casual. I think Brian and I were discussing switching up the formula of these to start tackling maybe just bigger things we notice about the video games industry. And if some of the news stories lead to those kind of conversations, we wanted to have a natural progression and not necessarily be focused on keeping our time with a particular story short so we can get to more stories. There's a lot that occurred in this month, and it's happening more and more where every month there's just a ton of news. And
yeah, it's not just E3 anymore. Right. It's like every week. It's like, are we going to get a Nintendo Direct? Maybe.
This week alone, there were 4 huge stories at least. And yeah, I don't think we're not video game journalists. We are just a podcast. So instead of focusing on getting all the news out there, we're gonna focus on the ones we want to talk about and maybe some issues that we want to discuss as well.
Core news stories with discussion around them and the video game industry at large.
Correct. I think that's a good plan, man.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah, definitely. So as always, guys, thanks for listening. We hope you have a great week. Bye.
Goodbye.